Hello, so we're getting ready for Super Bowl Sunday. We're doing quick, easy snacks that actually will be great for a crowd. Although we're not having a crowd, we're just having the three of us, but we'll have plenty of leftovers for the week. The first thing I'm doing is chopping an onion. I'm gonna saute that a little bit with some ground beef and make some taco meat. This is for a taco casserole. And I'm just it's actually a taco casserole dip. I'm actually winging it. I'm going to basically put taco meat, onions, black beans, some green onions, some shredded cheese, and some fire roasted salsa tomatoes all in a casserole dish. I'll bake it to melt the cheese. I'll cook everything ahead of time that needs cooking. Obviously the black beans are canned, so they'll just go in. And I probably won't use a whole can. I'm just doing it to add a little bit of body to the dish, and we'll just melt the cheese in the oven and then we'll dip it with chips. You could also add noodles to that and make an actual casserole if you chose to, or rice, either one. But we'll just dip it with chips and I think it's gonna be yummy. We're also gonna make a sausage dip, some meatballs, and some fresh raw veggies for dipping, as well as a cucumber and onion salad type thing with some spices. I use the Alessi dipping spices for that, and some either balsamic dressing or some just plain olive oil. I'll see what I end up doing with that. And then I may make some homemade guacamole, so stay tuned. Okay, normally when I chop up onion, I chop it a lot finer than this, but I want it to be like heartier chunks. I'm also not going to saute it first. I normally saute my onions first, then put my ground beef in and saute the ground beef, cook the ground beef until it's browned. That gets the onions really, really done, but I don't want them as done this time, so I'm gonna actually do it the opposite. I'm gonna do my ground beef. I'll make it according to the package directions here on McCormick taco seasoning. I'm doing 2 pounds of ground beef, so I do 2 packets of taco seasoning to get plenty of that taco flavor in there. And then, before I add the seasoning, I will actually throw the onions into the ground beef and get those good and sauteed in with the ground beef. And then I will add this and simmer per package directions. I think you just simmer like 5 minutes or something like that. And also I use super lean ground beef, so I never drain my ground beef off. It adds more flavor, but you can, of course. Okay, so the ground beef is all done. Again, just made according to package directions for the taco meat, taco seasoning. And there's some sauteed onions in there. Just gonna pour it right into my casserole dish. That will be kind of like the base of the dip. And I also add complete seasoning almost to all of my ground beef or any kind of meat dish I make. I use a lot of Badia complete seasoning. It's also called Sazon. It's a Mexican seasoning, I believe, but it is delicious and it's good on everything. All right, I'm gonna wash my pan before I do my sausage because I don't want the sausage tasting like ground beef. These two recipes are super close together anyway, so I definitely don't want them tasting anything like each other because they are very close in composition to each other. Now for the black beans, I'm gonna kind of just add by what I think I need. I always use seasoned black beans. These happen to have garlic, onion, and spices. These are some of my favorites to use for taco Mexican type dishes. Where's my can opener? And I will drain these. I don't normally drain them if I do taco stew or taco casserole because it adds a lot of flavor, but I'm gonna drain these and maybe even rinse them a little bit and mix some in with my ground beef. So be right back. Okay, so just the 1 can of black beans I don't think is a terrible lot, so I may end up adding all of them. Something else I do is all of my, what I call veggie trash, goes into the freezer in a Ziploc bag for homemade vegetable broth. I've already put my red onions that I cut up to go in the beef. I already put those in the bag in there, but I decided to get out a bowl because I'm going to end up having a lot of veggie trash today with the raw veggies that I'll be prepping and and all the other stuff. So it all just goes in. I won't put the cucumbers in there because cucumbers I don't think would be very good in homemade broth. But everything else goes in this bowl, and then we'll go in the freezer. And this week we will be making some cabbage soup with that. Basically, you just throw all your vegetables into the crock pot with some water and any seasonings you may want to use. That's totally up to you. Or you can season it later when you go to use it, like for soup or whatever. And you just cook it low and slow for 12 to 24 hours or whatever. I just kind of wing everything. I don't measure. That's another reason I haven't talked about measurements and stuff. I did use a whole onion in this 2 pounds of ground beef. And I'll let you know if I end up using the whole can of, yeah, I'm going to use all the black beans. And I did drain them off, but I did not rinse them. So it's still going to have a lot of flavor in the black beans as well. Thank you. My husband got my easy to use can opener. Is that what you got? You're so amazing. My fingers about can't turn the one I have in here, and the other one was in a place that wasn't exactly easy to get to, so he went and got it for me. Did you have to roll the slides out to get it? Aw. It was in our camper.
And a good pizza cutter.
Can you stop that video, please? Okay, now I personally shred my own cheese. I learned several years ago that pre-shredded cheese, it's the same price as block, which most people will go for the pre-shredded because it's convenient, it's easy. You can just open the bag, grab what you need, seal it back up, and you're good to go. But actually, the cheese manufacturers, when they pre-shred cheese, they put things like potato starch or wood pulp in to keep it from clumping. I found that pretty gross and unhealthy. So I decided that even though block cheese was the same price as pre-shredded, that I was gonna buy block. Now, the first time I did it was back in like 2015. And when I brought it home and shredded it, oh my gosh, the taste is so amazing. I don't think I could go back to pre-shredded even if I wanted to, because the taste is so much better of your own freshly shredded cheese. I normally just shred out what I need. You could shred it and put it in a Ziploc bag. Make sure you squeeze all the air out really well. And personally, I would use a freezer bag if I was gonna do that, because the freezer bags are thicker, so it helps it keep fresher longer, rather than like a sandwich bag or a regular storage bag. But it's just so much better. And for the taco dip, I decided not to put tomatoes in it because tomatoes are gonna go in with the sausage dip. So just to give it a little bit different of a flavor profile, I simply use the black beans, the ground beef, the sauteed onions, and some green onions on top. And then I'm gonna spread all the shredded cheese on top, and it will go in the oven just long enough to melt the cheese. And then we will have sour cream, maybe some fresh avocado to go with it. I'm the only one in the family that likes avocado. Well, my son does kind of like avocado a little bit, and guacamole. So, and I was gonna make some homemade guacamole, so if I do, I'll probably forego just the sliced avocado, and we will have guacamole and sour cream with our taco dip. Now, the sausage dip is a recipe I actually got from my sister-in-law, and it's super easy. It's actually a can of Rotel, I'm guessing a pound of sausage, I don't really know, and you could pick your sausage of choice, and a block of cream cheese. I'm actually using fire roasted salsa tomatoes instead of the Rotel. They're very similar, but if I remember correctly, Rotel is like super hot, and we don't like super hot foods. So I'm gonna use the fire roasted salsa tomatoes because we all love the flavor of those. I also use those in my taco stew and taco casserole when I make taco casserole. And this is just a spin on that. I've never actually done this, but I figure it'll be delicious on chips because I love all this stuff anyway. And who doesn't like to dip chips? For that, we're using Frito scoops, Tostitos scoops. You could use Frito scoops. We've done that before as well. All right, so I got a bunch of cheese shredded here. Let's see. Here, let's do it like this. It'll be easier instead of dumping it out on a plate. And I like a lot of cheese, so I'm gonna get a good layer of, and I like the bigger shred part. I don't know, it's better to me. It gives you more of a more good coverage than those little tiny fine shreds. But it's a matter of choice for sure, because it's all gonna melt anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And no, I have nowhere near enough cheese. When I get down to the last piece, I just kind of push it up against and like scrape it down. Just gotta be careful not to slash your thumb off, which I never have actually. I'm very prone to cutting myself in the kitchen, but I have not done that. Knock on wood. That was my wood cabinet, so it counts. And of course you can put as much stuff in there as you want. You can use black olives. My guys are not a fan of black olives, so I won't use those. I do have some small cans in there, so I may actually open some and throw on top of mine. There's all kinds of things you can put in there to make it delicious. You could even do this with sausage as well, if you wanted to. There's so many ways you could do it. And anyway, what I was saying about the sausage dip is these two things and the cooked sausage in the crock pot, cooked low and slow. The cream cheese will melt really good. I may actually shred some cheddar in with it as well. But like I say, I've got two almost twin dips going on here, but it'll still be good. And I thought about putting some green onions on top too. And I had thought about bacon. Bacon would be good, a little crumbled up. And again, with bacon, I use the real thing. I either cook it in the, most of the time I cook it in the oven. You would think it would splatter and make a big mess, but it doesn't. So I love doing that because you can put it in there and forget it for like 15 or 20 minutes or so, depending on your temperature. I usually cook mine at 400 and it comes out really good. And it doesn't really splatter, not like it does on the stovetop for sure. Okay, that's looking really good. And that's what we got. We're gonna put that in an oven later on, but right now I'm gonna cover it up with some plastic wrap and it's gonna go into the refrigerator because we've got to make a quick run to town. And then when we get back, all we'll have to do is pop this in the oven and it'll be ready. I'm also gonna get the meatballs going. Let's see, do I have time? Yeah, those will be fine. It's getting kind of late. It's almost 1 o'clock our time. Super Bowl, I believe, starts at 4:30. So, and we're not having anybody over. It's just us doing our little family thing. So this is gonna go in the oven. I'm gonna cook up the sausage. I'm just using Jimmy Dean regular sausage. You can use any flavor you want, whatever you like. I'm gonna cube up the softened cream cheese. I've been letting this sit out for a little bit, and I'm gonna mix it all in, and I'm gonna mix the fire roasted tomatoes in with it, and it's gonna go in my little cute little crock pot. I've got 3 of these little babies. So the sausage dip will go in one on low. The meatballs will go in another on high with chili sauce and grape jelly. Mixed together, and it makes a really yummy sauce. And then when we get back, I will cut up the veggies and all that good stuff. Okay? Okay, so I fried up my sausage. I have a question. I don't fry sausage a whole lot. I've only done it a few times recently, and not much fat at all cooks out of it, and it burns to my pan. Like ground beef doesn't do that at all. Why is my sausage doing that? Comment below and tell me how to cook sausage. Obviously, I need to add something to the pan. I don't cook with olive oil because my husband is very sensitive to it. Okay, I'm pouring this into my empty crock pot. Just pouring the sausage right in. Actually, I said I needed more sausage, but it would not fit in this little bitty crock pot if I had more sausage. It's gonna be enough for our little family of 3. Probably more than enough. Okay, that's probably not good to set that hot pan in that. I'll put it back over here on the stove. I'm an excellent chef. I know what I'm doing. Not really. All right, so I've got my sausages in my crock pot. I'm just gonna pop my, well, actually, I'll go ahead and throw my cream cheese in there. I kind of blocked it up a little bit so I can mix it all together. Scrape that little bit off. And you can find these recipes on Pinterest. Most of them are basically the same from what I found. But I'm sure there's variations on it too, if that, you know, is what you're looking for, something different. And you can always add your own little flair to it as well. Like I said, I was going to add some green onions and some shredded cheddar cheese, but it makes it almost like my taco dip. So I don't know if I'll end up doing that or not. Just gonna mix this up. I'm gonna turn it on low. And it's gonna cook while we're gone. Making a big mess right now. I don't know if I should drain my fire roasted tomatoes or not. I think I am. Do you have a preference?
I don't know, babe.
I'm gonna drain it.
Oh.
Is that the wrong answer? Oh, there ain't no real liquid in there. Okay. Yeah, we won't do that. There's no real liquid in that in these. So just pour that right in. And then mix it all together. Oh, it already smells good and looks good. Ooh, it sounds nasty though. Whoop! A lot of it's sticking to my, ooh, that looks yummy. Now, the time that I tried this, I remembered it being more white. So I'm thinking maybe there was more cream cheese in it than what I put. So I actually like that there will be more tomato flavor than cream cheese flavor. I was kind of worried about that with my guys. But I think with the more tomato flavor, it's going to be better than more of a cream cheese flavor. Yeah, this is much more tomatoey looking than the first one I ever tried. But it was very good. It was very good. I ate way too much of it. I remember that. Okay, let's scrape it all off my spoon here. This will be cooking low and slow while we're gone, just to melt the cream cheese and warm everything up. This would be good with, what do they call the like bruschetta bread? Like the little toasted, I don't know, little toasted bread. It would be good with that. And I think I may end up putting some green onion in it. I don't know. We'll try it when we get back and I'll make the decision then. Because those really won't have to heat up a whole lot. You want to try a taste of it and see if you like it?
It's not plugged in.
Oh, that helps. That would have been eventful. Let me wipe out around the rim of that, just so I don't. Oh, that's good. Do you want to try a taste or no? I'm gonna wait till it gets hot. All right, I'm gonna put my lid on it. Push this one out of the way. And then my other one will be for the meatballs. Can you hand me a napkin while I grab the stuff? Oh, it ain't in here. It's not in here. Okay, so did I use that? I hope I didn't use all that grape jelly. I thought I had some. That's berry jam. Here it is. This is the old recipe that I heard about. What I want to wipe this out. I was like, what did I even want it for? I don't remember. Old recipe that I heard of a long time ago. Chili sauce and grape jelly. You can find that one all over Pinterest as well. You can also find variations of it, but I made some of this the other day. Can you hand me a spoon out of the drawer? Hubby really liked it, so we're doing it again. My meatballs, not mushrooms. Go down here in the bottom of my freezer. Do you want all of them?
Sure.
They may not fit in this.
Okay.
You think it's better to mix up the sauce and pour in top, or what? Can you hand me a bowl?
Scissors are okay.
Yeah. I like to do everything the hard way. I'm just using Farm Rich brand. Nothing fancy. I may get wild and make my own one of these days. Get new. All right. Can you hand me a bowl? I'll go ahead and plug this in while he's doing that.
What kind of bowl?
Just a bowl to mix the sauce in.
One of these?
I can't get that in. There we go. Yeah, that's fine. And I don't measure this either. I do it by taste. I must have good taste because it usually works out. So. Got some on my hand. Oh, there we go. I felt like there was a lot more in there. It didn't want to come out. I'm gonna turn it upside down and drain it. When I get back, I'll get any more that's still in there. And last time I made it, I used half a jar of this stuff, so I'm gonna use the other half of the whole jar. Just Concord grape jelly. I don't know if any other kind would work or not, because this sounded weird to me the first time I heard it. I'm like, jelly on meatballs, that's gross. They're like, trust me. Okay. And it is pretty good. It does make a very sticky mess when you reheat it though, or cook it in the pan. It was like glue. The sugars in that jelly like stuck to everything. What are you laughing at? He's over there laughing at me. Ugh.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm falling in love with you all over again.
Oh, good Lord. You mean you didn't love me a while ago? You want to come be in the video? Why not? Okay, this looks like it needs more jelly. I don't have any more jelly. May have to get some when we go out. So I guess it's a good thing I'm doing this now. I'm fixing to taste the sauce and see. Although it blends better when it's hot. The jelly wants to be chunky. I actually used a whisk last time that helped some, but it still wants to be chunky. Gotta wipe that up. Don't want it to stain my white countertops. Let me know in the comments if you have any good meatball recipes, easy meatball recipes. It's fun coming up with new things to try, and they're almost always a success. I'd say maybe 2% of the things I've made, maybe not even 2%. There's been a couple of dishes though that we had to trash. One, when we were early married, we were trying to make do without going to the grocery store, and we were gonna make spaghetti sauce, and we added everything we could possibly come up with: barbecue sauce, tomato, ketchup. I don't know what all we put in it, but it was not edible. So we threw it away. The dogs wouldn't even eat it. Not our dogs, but the neighbor dogs. They wouldn't even eat it. That was 27 years ago, almost 27 years ago. And went and bought some spaghetti sauce. So that was my first failure. Then I had a meatloaf failure in 2015 or 2016. I never follow the same recipe. I throw things in based on sight and feel and taste if I can taste it. Meatloaf you can't. I got way too many breadcrumbs in it, so it wanted to kind of like fall apart, and it was real mealy or whatever. I don't know. Remember that?
You?
He loves meatloaf, but he did not like that one. So we ended up throwing that one away. And I think we got pizza. No, it wasn't. Shut up. He gets into trouble when he says my meatloaf isn't. That's a story from early marriage. Yeah, I think this needs more, that might be too much sauce. This crock pot may be garbage. I don't know. It may. If it does like it did the other night, it took me forever to get it out of everything that I had it in. This one I'm going to turn on high because I want this to hurry up and heat up. So this one's going to go on high. The rest of these are going to go back in the freezer. And then let me know in the comments what you're having for your next big get-together, potluck, game day, whatever. Let me know. Try some new recipes. Okay, you cut that. Okay, so the game day food is pretty much done at this point. Did you, were the meatballs thawed out enough?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I can turn those off. That sauce will thicken. And then both my guys love this, surprisingly. This is the sausage dip. Oh, I need a spoon. Grab me a spoon, please. And then we got some raw cut up veggies. Some, oh, never mind, I got it. Some cucumber and onion salad with some dipping spices and vinaigrette dressing. Some chips and dip for dipping. And the taco dip is here in the oven. So it's about to go down. What do y'all think of the food?
Delicious.
Delicious.
That's all you're gonna say?
You're not supposed to surprise me.
I'm sorry.
I'm not camera ready.
Okay. That's it, guys. Thanks. Avocado. We may do some sliced avocado or crushed avocado or something.